How's it going, everybody? TJ here, back again with another video, and it's been a while since I've been able to say that, and it's been an even longer while since I've done a one of these little voice recording thingies where I talk over myself doing a gym session. Well, today I'm not going to talk about me doing a gym session. I'm going to talk about the whole training week and just go into a little bit of detail about the things that I'm doing and my thought process behind that. As you can see here, this is day one, and we're kicking off day one, which is a push session. So I've split my sessions up into push, legs, pull. Reason it's push, legs, pull, not push, pull, legs, is because I find that the pull session will impact my leg session, especially when I'm doing any sort of hinging movement. So push, legs, pull is my current split, and yeah, I'm doing some bloody chest flies on the cable. Would you believe it? Would you absolutely believe it? Yes, you would, because this is what's happening on your screen right now. And actually what I found is this is a real good movement for the chest, because I get a good feel of it. A lot of people do it wrong, where they load up the weight. As you can see on either side of this cable crossover here, there's not too many stacks of weights going up and down here. A lot of them are just sat at the bottom, because that's where I put the pin. I put the pin a little bit higher up, and all I'm trying to do here is just squeeze as if I'm trying to bounce my pecs the whole time. We then moved on in this push session onto the bench press, but unfortunately every single bench was taken, so I had to go ahead and be that dickhead that did close grip bench in the squat rack. But it's actually ended up being a good little setup, because the idea here is this is a tricep movement primarily. And so what I tend to do with my close grip, because my conventional bench press is pretty close grip anyways, what this does is it gives me a little stack a little bit higher, so that it's going to emphasize a lot more triceps than it would have done if I'd have gone all the way to the chest. And then I move on to upright rows, which is very different to the cleans that I've been doing. I've gone with a real light weight here, just to make sure that I don't, turn it into a clean movement, because it's not a clean. We're not trying to lift the bar. The goal of this exercise isn't to lift the bar as heavy a weight as high as I can, like it would be with a clean, or to produce power. The goal of these exercises and the goal of this whole training program is to really try and pack on as much muscle, or hold on to as much muscle whilst I'm cutting at the minute as possible. Because of my retirement from rugby, there's no reason for me to train like an athlete specifically. Now, does that mean I'm gonna become a bum? Obviously not. I'm going to the gym 6 times a week, so would you please just get off my back and let me train the way I'm doing it? Actually, in fact, I'll give a little explanation of the whole reason that most of my sets at the minute, especially week 1, are sets of 10 or above. Here's a little bit of camera error here when I'm trying to have my camera to try and film me squat. Anyone that saw the last video knows that my tripod that I'm feeling with at the moment isn't great. So I can already hear a few haters saying like, oh, that's not even 110 kilos. Well, like, this is the first week of the cycle. The first week of the cycle. So the point is to go easy, so that I've got a lot more left in the tank to keep progressing. If you start balls to the wall, like, I finished this set of squats and light to the ground, dying, that's not good, because what am I going to do next week to progress? The idea is to always, each session in a block is going to be harder, better, more taxing than the last. That's how you progress. So if you go balls out on week 1, it's not going to work. So yeah, that was my little resting from a squat rant there that you saw. And it's a good point that people need to realize, is that people get too carried away with week 1, that they think everything has to be perfect, they have to train the hardest possible session, or have the hardest possible training program in the world to do week 1. But then how do you progress it with week 2, week 3, week 4, or even week 126? You've got to take your time. You've got to know that what you're doing is maybe only a 7 out of 10, in order to make sure that when you get to your 9 out of 10, you're that much more ready for it. You're in that better of a position. And sticking with the theme of, like I say, I'm working the muscles rather than working the movements or trying to be good at rugby. The point here is that I'm doing a lower body session, and again, targeting the individual muscles with sets of 10 to 12. Now, finally, I'm going to answer that bloody question I've been trying to get to. Why on earth am I doing sets of 10 when I've said before that, yeah, you can train like an athlete and really make progress? Well, let me put it like this. If I'm trying to diet to really lose weight and look as good as possible, be in as good a shape as possible, then I need my training to fall in line with that. Your training should always have a purpose, you know. So before, my training purpose was rugby. Before that, my training purpose was weightlifting, and before that again, my training purpose was also rugby. But now, for the first time since I was a kid and didn't know really what I was doing with training, I'm training purely to gain and hold on to as much muscle as possible. So that involves sets of 10. That's the best way you're going to be able to do it. But also there's the fact that when I'm dieting and when I'm working really hard, because the online stuff is really sort of taking off and I need to really organize that. I have an in-person job, as I've already said as well. I'm married, I've got a child. Okay, I don't have a child, I have a dog. But still, the same thing is, what I'm saying is I've got a lot of stresses on, and diet is also another stressor. So what I want to try and do here is make training as least stressful as possible. And the way that I've found that is doing sets of 10, going in, working the muscle groups really smartly, and just not accumulating too much fatigue. This is a beautiful gym here in Denver that I try and mix up the gyms that I go to, just so that, you know, I don't get as bored and I still find training fun, which I am doing definitely now that I've changed up the routine a little bit. I'll be changing exercises every 4 to 5 to 6 weeks, depending on how I'm going. I keep a lot in, but going back to the sets of 10, going back to the bodybuilding style of training, it requires a lot less thought and a case more of, hey, what are the weights in the spreadsheet? How many reps should I keep in reserve? So how many reps should I stay away from failure? And that's it. It's real simple. I just push the exercise. I don't have to think about it. Whereas like sprint work, power clean work, all of that, not only does it kind of beat me up, but it requires a lot of thought, which adds to training stress. Whereas here, it takes me about an hour to get through most of these workouts. Some of the leg workouts take a little bit longer, but yeah, it's just a real simple way of doing it, and it's a good way to build up as much volume through the muscle by doing 3 sets of 10 rather than doing 5 sets of 3. You're going to get more volume by doing 3 sets of 10. Yeah, but now you could make the argument, yes, if I did 10 sets of 3, I'm doing more volume because I'm doing more weight, but how fucking long is it going to take me to do 10 sets of 3? The answer is too long. That's the answer. Alright, so finishing up with, I kind of done this video, I've just given you a sample of each session, not all 6, because I do push, legs, pull, push, legs, pull. That's my 6-day split, but I've just given you 1 push workout, 1 legs workout, and 1 pull workout. And I haven't even thought about this, but what I might do for week 2 is give you the other variations of each of those. So at the minute I'm running Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday I'm taking off because that's my busiest day with client check-ins and being in work. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then straight back to the hashtag grind on a Monday. Little pause for the cause there. And then the last point I wanted to make in this video is address the fact that just because I'm not playing, that doesn't mean I'm stopping coaching rugby guys anymore, stopping giving advice on how to train for rugby. I do still think I'm an expert in this. I know exactly what I'm doing with all of my guys and I've got fantastic results with them. It's similar to like saying, you know, Steve Hansen is the coach of the All Blacks and he's like one of the most successful coaches in the history of sport, let alone rugby. Yet I don't ever realize him ever being a great player or currently still training to play rugby. Like, coaching and doing the thing yourself are 2 different things, you know. Like, Michael Jordan isn't the greatest basketball coach in the history of time, but he's probably the greatest basketball player, or LeBron James. I don't know. I guess you get my point. So yeah, it's all good. This video has been recorded before the last Lions test, and I'm going to predict New Zealand win by 5 points. If you watch this before then, let me know your prediction. If you watch it after, mock me and tell me how wrong I am, and I'll see you in the next one.